Hello everyone, I'm Dylan. And yes I am Travis from No More Heroes. Moe. Anyways, we're playing Dagon, right? Yeah, alright. How scary is this gonna be? Sure. Start the button. It's a faithful interaction adaptation of H.P Lovecraft work focused on story and atmosphere. You will not find difficult choices, action sequences, or story management. Alright.
I am writing this under an appreciable mental strain, since by tonight I shall be no more.
Okie dokie. Scary. Scary monster things, gotcha. Trivia's hidden. Okay.
Penniless, and at the end of my supply of the drug which alone makes life endurable, I can bear the torture no longer, and shall cast myself from this garret window into the squalid street below.
Okay.
Do not think from my slavery to morphine that I am a weakling or a degenerate. When you have read these hastily scrawled pages, you may guess, though never fully realize, why it is that I must have forgetfulness or death.
Okay. A paper!
It was in one of the most open and least frequented parts of the broad Pacific that the packet of which I was supercargo fell a victim to the German sea raider.
This is awesome looking. What's happening with you? There it is! What's happening?
The Great War was then at its very beginning, and the ocean forces of the Hun had not completely sunk to their later degradation.
Oh. This is cool looking.
So that our vessel was made a legitimate prize, whilst we of her crew were treated with all the fairness and consideration due us as naval prisoners.
Oh. I'm moving. What's this? The Huns! They're the people that came over the wall with their grappling hooks and threw up cheese all over everybody. This one?
So liberal, indeed, was the discipline of our captors, that 5 days after we were taken, I managed to escape alone in a small boat with water and provisions for a good length of time.
There it is!
When I finally found myself adrift and free, I had but little idea of my surroundings.
Where the mermaid's at?
Never a competent navigator, I could only guess vaguely by the sun and stars that I was somewhat south of the equator.
Yes.
Of the longitude, I knew nothing, and no island or coastline was in sight.
What's that noise? Oh.
The weather kept fair, and for uncounted days I drifted aimlessly beneath the scorching sun, waiting either for some passing ship or to be cast on the shores of some habitable land.
Where's the people? Also, what's that noise? Water. Don't drink sea water.
Ship nor land appeared, and I began to despair in my solitude upon the heaving vastness of unbroken blue.
The sun! The sun is in my mouth.
The change happened whilst I slept.
But why though?
Its details I shall never know. For my slumber, though troubled and dream-infested, was continuous. When at last I awoke, it was to discover myself half sucked into a slimy expanse of hellish black mire, which extended about me in monotonous undulations as far as I could see.
It's normal. This is fine.
And in which my boat lay grounded some distance away.
My boat!
Though one might well imagine that my first sensation would be of wonder at so prodigious and unexpected a transformation of scenery, I was in reality more horrified than astonished.
I claim this squidlicious land for Dr. Lizard and Serrata.
For there was in the air and in the rotting soil a sinister quality which chilled me.
Oh, it smells like Applebee's out here.
The region was putrid with the carcasses of decaying fish
Applebee's.
and of other, less describable things which I saw protruding from the nasty mud of the unending plain.
Dr. Feelgood?
Perhaps I should not hope to convey in mere words the unutterable hideousness that can dwell in absolute silence and barren immensity. There was nothing within hearing, and nothing in sight, save a vast reach of black slime. Yet the very completeness of the stillness and the homogeneity of the landscape oppressed me with a nauseating fear.
That's haunting. I mean, do you hang out with these tentacle things, or do you walk out forever into nothingness?
The sun was blazing down from a sky which seemed to me almost black in its cloudless cruelty, as though reflecting the inky marsh beneath my feet.
What is that thing? It's like one of those kabutos. My boat! Oh!
As I crawled into the stranded boat, I realized that only one theory could explain my position.
The Bermuda Triangle.
Through some unprecedented volcanic upheaval, a portion of the ocean floor must have been thrown to the surface, exposing regions for which innumerable millions of years had lain hidden under unfathomable watery depths.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say next.
So great was the extent of the new land which had risen beneath me that I could not detect the faintest noise of the surging ocean, straining my ears as I might.
Hello?
Nor were there any seafowl to prey upon the dead things.
Probably because they ripped them out of the sky and ate them. Fishington! Dr. Fishington's gonna eat your skin.
For several hours I sat thinking or brooding in the boat, which lay upon its side and afforded a slight shade as the sun moved across the heavens. As the day progressed, the ground lost some of its stickiness and seemed likely to dry sufficiently for traveling purposes in a short time.
Alright.
That night I slept but little, and the next day I made for myself a pack containing food and water, preparatory to an overland journey in search of the vanished sea and possible rescue.
This is mine.
On the third morning, I found the soil dry enough to walk upon with ease. The odor of the fish was maddening, but I was too much concerned with graver things to mind so slight an evil, and set out boldly for an unknown goal.
I mean, I've been to the downtown Applebee's, and it's probably not as bad as this, but close. There it is! Walk across that thing real fast.
All day I forged steadily westward.
What the
guided
frick?
by a faraway hummock which rose higher than any other elevation on the rolling desert.
Maybe go the other way. If I saw that, yeah, I would not continue my pathway. I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna go the other way. Why are we getting closer to this? It's getting all crab-like. No spiders!
That night I encamped, and on the following day still travelled toward the hummock, though that object seemed scarcely nearer than when I had first espied it.
Why are we going towards this giant mouth? Looks like it's probably gonna be a mouth. It's always in the center, and I like it. You know?
By the fourth evening, I attained the base of the mound, which turned out to be much higher than it had appeared from a distance.
Yes.
An intervening valley setting it out in sharper relief from the general surface.
Okay.
Too weary to ascend, I slept in the shadow of the hill.
I'm too tired.
I know not why my dreams were so wild that night, but ere the waning and fantastically gibbous moon had risen
I like that
far
word.
above the eastern plain, I was awake in a cold perspiration, determined to sleep no more.
Quoth the raven.
Such visions as I had experienced were too much for me to endure again.
Okay.
And in the glow of the moon, I saw how unwise I had been to travel by day. Without the glare of the parching sun, my journey would have cost me less energy. Indeed, I now felt quite able to perform the ascent which had deterred me at sunset. Picking up my pack, I started for the crest of the eminence.
What does that mean? Oh.
I have said that the unbroken monotony of the rolling plain was a source of vague horror to me, but I think my horror was greater when I gained the summit of the mound and looked down the other side into an immeasurable pit or canyon, whose black recesses the moon had not yet soared high enough to illumine. I felt myself on the edge of the world.
Jump, 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 jump.
Peering over the rim into a fathomless chaos of eternal night.
Now.
Through my terror ran curious reminiscences of Paradise Lost and of Satan's hideous climb through the unfashioned realms of darkness.
Okay.
As the moon climbed higher in the sky, I began to see that the slopes of the valley were not quite so perpendicular as I had imagined.
Are we gonna go down there? Alright. I'll probably cut it right here because I don't know how long it is. If it's not very much, I'll add to the end of it. But if not, I'll see you in the next episode. As always, thank you for watching. And I will see you eventually.